Tonight, Broken Hill set to become a Pfizer vaccination hub, and South Australians urged to use their Great State vouchers.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Broken Hill has been announced as a Pfizer vaccination hub as another age group is added to the rollout. The latest figures suggest locals are still hesitant to get the jab, even though COVID testing rates have climbed.
The vaccine rollout in the far west getting another shot in the arm.
We have just been informed that Broken Hill will be one of the Pfizer hubs.
A deep freeze unit for the vaccines will arrive soon, improving distribution and storage rather than relying on jabs from Dubbo. From here, vaccines will go to outlying towns, including Menindee, and be given at the local clinic.
Clinics will alternate. We will have AstraZeneca on one day and Pfizer on the other. It is important that we don't have them both at the same time.
The hub will start next month when anyone over 40 will be able to roll up their sleeves. Numbers at Broken Hill's dedicated clinic remain low, just 50 people passing through the doors in the last week. A third of Aussies say they don't want the jab at all. That doesn't sit well with health authorities.
A great example is Taiwan, who really had, I think, almost no cases, and now they're having a massive surge.
With a high 100 COVID tests in Broken Hill last week, experts say the community remains wary of the virus, but reluctant when it comes to protection against it. South Australia today recorded its first case of blood clots linked to AstraZeneca, a 53-year-old man who's now in intensive care. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Major works have begun on a new 270-kilometre high-voltage transmission line near Whyalla. The first concrete slab was poured today for the Eyre Peninsula Link, with the upgrade set to deliver more reliable electricity across the region.
Pouring the foundation, cementing the start of this $300 million project. This slab of concrete is one of 500 required for new transmission towers for Electronet's Eyre Peninsula Link.
Very exciting day for the project, one of the first slab pours on what is a brand new major transmission line for the Eyre Peninsula.
The high voltage transmission lines will run from Coltana to Port Lincoln. Once live, it's hoped the towers will provide more secure energy.
Takes us the next level. The power lines went through 50 years ago or so, maybe longer. It's time for an upgrade.
The member for Flinders says the 2016 statewide blackout, which saw the bottom end of the Eyre Peninsula hit hard, is a reminder of what happens when the power goes out.
This will add to the reliability, it will increase the supply of electricity and give us the opportunity for customers and population to grow into the future.
Hundreds of jobs will be created during construction, boosting the local economy.
This project will be a significant economic boost to the local economy. There'll be around 300 new jobs created as a part of the construction phase for Eyre Peninsula Link.
Work will take about 18 months to complete, with the new line expected to be energised by the end of 2022. Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
There's only 4 days left for South Australians to book their Great State Travel Experience vouchers, and residents are being urged to use them. Local tourism operators are expected to reap the benefits, with many using them in regional locations.
The countdown is on to snap up some good deals. Booking for this round of experience vouchers close midnight Sunday.
It closes off at the end of Sunday, so people definitely want to get on board as quickly as possible and get a voucher booking in.
Well, of course, if people have received their Great State vouchers, they really should use them.
Regional activities proving popular with many opting to explore.
Booking in for, Coffin Bay oyster tours like Experience Coffin Bay and the Oyster HQ. People are also doing the longer tours, so Explore Air and Australian Coastal Safaris.
Despite these vouchers being less popular than round 1 and 2 of the scheme, which focused on accommodation, South Australia's Tourism Commission says sales remain on track.
We don't have to pay from our budget if people don't use the vouchers. So it's always an opportunity for us to sit back and look at what has worked.
And with round 4 recently announced for winter, those eager are encouraged to visit somewhere new.
It's a great opportunity to perhaps visit a part of South Australia you haven't been to before. You're getting tremendous support from the government to give it a go.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The hunt is on for thieves who stole a car from a Port Lincoln property this week. The silver 2018 Hyundai Accent, similar to this one, was stolen from Lewis Street around 3 p.m. on Tuesday. The vehicle with the registration S134BWR had been spotted driving erratically around the Curtin Point and Marina areas. Anyone who spots the car is encouraged to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. Still to come tonight, Port Lincoln's RSL marking a special Navy anniversary, and the next generation of train drivers graduate in Port Augusta. Welcome back. A special dinner is being held at Port Lincoln's RSL tonight to honour the 110th anniversary of the Royal Australian Navy. As part of the dinner, 5 veterans will take to the microphone to tell their stories of war.
Decorated war veteran Stephen Butler served as a weapons mechanic in the Australian Navy for almost a decade, but tonight he'll be shining a spotlight on one of the Navy's most costly battles.
It's the single most tragic loss of life in the Australian Navy's history. All 645 men on board died in the battle.
The HMS Sydney II was lost off the western coast in a fierce and bloody battle with a German ship in 1941, its wreck only recently being discovered.
It portrays the courage, the mateship and the loyalty of the troops on board HMAS Sydney II.
It's just one of 4 remarkable stories being told tonight, honouring the 110th anniversary of the Royal Australian Navy.
Really interesting, they're historical and pertinent to what it is to be an Australian Navy member.
Meanwhile, Peter Wushner will be sharing the story of the 1969 Ordnance retrieval off the coast of Port Lincoln.
A policy of sea dumping of unexploded ordnance, and it was supposed to go out into very deep water to be dumped, and it didn't quite get there.
More than 18 tonnes of the dangerous weapons were collected, some which are now defused, taking pride of place at the Branches Museum.
There's also the real dangerous ones which were unexploded 3-inch mortars and Piet bombs, and they can be very dangerous.
Nathan Rector, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Augusta's rail yard now has 9 new fully qualified train drivers, with 4 receiving their certificates today. The initiative, which started last year through a joint program, is aimed at recruiting more drivers into the industry.
There's some new train drivers on board in Port Augusta, with today marking the start of their railway journey.
Today marks the graduation for our trainee drivers that have now progressed to fully qualified train drivers. It's been a journey of about 15 months from street to seat.
The joint initiative between Pacific National and Rail Train started in January last year, aiming to create local jobs and boost the industry.
It gives them a great opportunity now in their future so they can go to other areas within Australia or wherever they like with the certificate now, and it's a new opportunity for the young people that we've employed.
There's 9 fully qualified train drivers ready to climb aboard, these 4 officially graduating this morning.
So we drive trains between Port Augusta and Cook, Port Augusta and Broken Hill, Adelaide, and doing local shunt shifts as well in the Port Augusta yard.
They say they're grateful to get their start in the industry.
I worked in the railways for 8 years prior to starting this job and always wanted to move into train driving. My grandfather was a train driver for many years, so I was glad to take up the job when it came up.
Seen it as a major opportunity. For security and that for my family and that as well.
Both companies are looking at continuing the partnership, bringing more opportunities to the region.
We'll work again with rail train into the future and hopefully we can get some more people on board.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
He was a CEO in the city until leaving that life behind and embarking on a transcontinental journey. Adventurer John Elliott is now enjoying a well-deserved break in Silverton, having walked 6,000 kilometres with a convoy of camels.
As far as travel buddies go, camels wouldn't be at the top of most people's list, but John Elliott's herd has been his close companion for 3 years.
It is like managing a pack of, toddlers on some days, but we've really developed this close bond after travelling together for 3 years.
After leaving a successful career in Perth, the 37-year-old tamed wild camels and set off on a journey from east to west through every state on foot.
I suppose I just wanted to pursue something, a challenge that didn't involve dollars.
It does involve plenty of steps though, clocking up 6,000 kilometres by his arrival in Silverton. Along the way, they've crossed rivers, been stuck in bushfires and been blocked by borders.
Now we're heading out into the Great Abyss. The distances between pubs now can range up to 500 kilometres.
This week, he'll begin crossing the desert to Alice Springs. Local cameleers from Silverton joining him for the next leg to Cameron Corner.
It'll be pretty remote, so we haven't done anything as remote. Hopefully we don't leave anything behind because it's a long way to go back home to get it.
There's still 18 long months to go, but John's thirst for adventure is still strong. Lachlan Itter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. The agriculture industry front and centre at an Eyre Peninsula school, and regional art the focus of a conference in Port Pirie. It's coming up to tax time, and the ATO says it will be cracking down on work-related expenses. It says claims should reflect whether you've been working from home or otherwise, warning that copying and pasting claims from previous years isn't acceptable. Those who have worked from home can claim 80 cents per hour, but should provide records to prove those hours. If you've driven to the office while working from home, those vehicle expenses can't be claimed. South Australians are being asked to have their say on a new strategy, outlining the state's water security. The draft plan outlines how our local resources are faring, along with strategies that will keep them reliable into the future. Environment Minister David Spears says having enough water to go round is vital, as climate change threatens supplies. The plan can be found at the Your Say website. Consultation closes on June 18. A new agricultural curriculum is being rolled out at Cummins Area School, aimed at delivering better results for students and the industry. The program will run at the school's farm, teaching students at the grassroots level of the industry.
Sowing the seeds for where education will grow, a 20-hectare farm being used as a classroom to help train the next generation of agricultural workers.
We can, allow students to participate in lots of learning activities that you potentially wouldn't get at other schools.
A new program is being rolled out at Cummins Area School to help students better transition into the workforce. More than 30 different businesses being consulted as part of the curriculum reshuffle, with a finished product 2 years in the making.
In regional communities, those partnerships are so invaluable. The school obviously gets a huge benefit out of it, but we think so do the businesses.
The school's farm focusing on agribusiness with technology, animals and plants.
We've got sheep, cattle, chickens, yabbies, a vegetable garden, cropping.
He says the new studies will help keep the school one step ahead of its competition, making sure its students are ready to enter the changing workforce.
They're able to meet and work with industry professionals as much as we can. We like to invite them in, or take them out to farms, or take them out to businesses.
The new curriculum will start next semester. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A conference focusing on regional South Australia's vibrant art scene has begun in Port Pirie. Artists from across the state have flocked to the Northern Festival Centre for a 3-day program.
An exciting creative industries conference bringing together South Australia's brightest minds.
And it's fantastic to be here with about 120 other people from around the country, in fact, and even internationally, who are joining forces today to discuss the burgeoning creative industries.
Held this year at Port Pirie's Northern Festival Centre, many were eager to discuss the future of arts in the regions.
Regional South Australia can really take advantage of the new jobs and the new skills and training on offer to really help to grow the creative industries in South Australia.
The Innovation Minister says this industry is thriving, with more people spending money on experiences and artists becoming more innovative with how they sell their work.
People's spending habits have changed. They're spending money on experiences rather than on actual items. And of course we're seeing, if you like, the democratisation of artists' work.
The conference also receiving valuable feedback from artists to improve the sector moving forward.
The creative industries, the allied industries to the arts themselves is a big part of what we do, and it's great to be able to be here to support this conference here in the regions and also take part in the conversations and listen to artists and practitioners on the ground.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll check what's biting in the Spencer Gulf this weekend. And Alex Sykes will join us with the latest weather forecast. Hello again. With the weekend almost upon us, let's now go around the Spencer Gulf and check what's biting for anglers when they drop a line. With all the details, here's our fishing experts with their tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Draw the North. Well, a real fisherman's basket at the moment. Lots of King George whiting around and they're actually a little bit further north, up around Port Patterson and that area, and even right along the front of the shacks there. Salmon trout just about everywhere as well. Best catches down around Port Patterson, around the Oyster Run, down into Chinaman's Creek on the other side over there. Lots of garfish around at the moment. You get these really nice calm nights, a bit of cloud cover. We'll get them to the surface as well with no moon. Squid are fairly well widespread as well. The last half hour is the best time to get them, drifting along the front of the shacks there. But also don't forget those middle banks while you're out trying to get some whiting as well. That's all we have from the Jewel North.
Welcome to another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. It's fantastic over this last couple of weeks what we've been finding, that we're telling you that the squid are coming on. Last week I had a report that there was a squid with a tube about 500 mil long. That is absolutely huge. I bet you it would have just about pulled the jag out of the gentleman's hands. So this is a great way to start our season with squid. It's just those cold snaps brought them in, so really have a shot around all the regular places. We used to fish around Third Creek patches a lot for squid, but I think the Checker Buoy area is doing a lot better, and also around the Eastern Shoal area you'll find some nice sized squid there. Whilst you're there, keep your line over for King George whiting. They're doing pretty well at the moment, so guys are coming back with quotas at this stage, and the fish aren't bad size. I also heard that was one about 46 centimetres in a regular bag, so that's pretty good sizing. So I think that's about all we got this week. We'll cross to you next week.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, locally there's been some lovely garfish caught in our local bays and good sized fish too. There's also been some nice squid caught over the past week, especially out around Boston Island and up along the North Shore. And there have been whiting in our local bays, especially down in the proper, but they have been a little bit patchy, so you'll just have to move around to find those fish. Down around Williams Island there's been some nice nanagai and some school sharks caught down that way. And there's also been a few Samson fish in that area too. Moving over to Coffin Bay, there's been some whiting in the bays over there, especially around the racks. There's also been some nice garfish and tommies in Dutton Bay. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
Time now to check what the weather will look like across the region this weekend. With the latest forecast, it's good evening to Alex Sykes.
Thanks, John, and good evening, everyone. What another mild but gorgeous day we had in the region. From 3 p.m, it was cloudy across the Gulf. Port Augusta, cloudy 24. Broken Hill, also cloudy 20. Cleve, 23. Looking further out across the region now, Whyalla, Woodner and Kadina were all also 23 degrees. Port Lincoln and Port Pirie were both 22. Clare and Adelaide were both 20. Cooper Pedy got to a high of 21. Taking a look at the satellite image now, patchy low cloud over southern and eastern SA, with a weak trough is generating a few showers, mainly about the coast. Bright-looking high jet stream cloud crossing the state from the west is not bringing any rain. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Winds north to northwesterly about 10 knots, seas below 1 metre, swells south to southwesterly below 1 metre. Mostly sunny conditions across parts of the Gulf tomorrow. Port Lincoln is set to reach 22 degrees. Cleve will top 23, Woodner set to reach 25. Whyalla 23, Port Augusta to get to a high of 25 degrees, and Kadina will top 22. Port Pirie 24, Clare and Broken Hill Hill, both set to reach a high of 21 degrees. Taking a look at the weekend forecast now, it's looking to be not a bad one on Saturday, with temperatures mainly to be in the mid-20s. Sunny in Cooper Pedy 25, partly cloudy across the rest of the Gulf. Broken Hill will get to a top of 21, the region's low. Similar conditions forecast for Sunday. It'll be windy in Woodner, set to reach a top of 25. Mainly fine conditions across the rest of the Gulf. A max of 25 in Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta and Port Pirie, where it'll be 23 in Port Lincoln, Adelaide and Broken Hill. But conditions will worsen on Monday, with rain to set in across Port Pirie, Woodner, Port Lincoln, Adelaide and Kadina. Windy in Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta and Whyalla. Mainly fine in Broken Hill. And that's all the weather from me for tonight, and thank goodness the weekend is almost upon us, John. We'll definitely have to make the most of it, with the weather turning next week by the looks of it. Back to you.
Can't wait for it. Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow night at the earlier time of 6:30 p.m. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.